Your party is wandering through a forest. You see a set of lights approaching you. Is this a helpful spirit? Perhaps a ghost of a loved one? Nah, it's a bunch of glow bugs. They're about to eat your face off. I designed these suckers because I wanted a strong random encounter, and there's nothing in the wilderness that'll attack you like bugs. But first I need to ground these suckers in some lore and make them dangerous. So how did these suckers come to be? Well, in the great polytheistic realm of fantasy, they were made by a god, of course. Let's call him Smort. 1 second while I roll on a table I got. Alright, looks like he's a dwarf god of nature. So why would the dwarvish god of nature make a glowing bug? I reckon to guide his followers, pillar of fire style. So let me introduce you to our dwarvish conclave who used to protect caves from overmining before getting kicked out because they tried to prevent dwarves from mining. So now they live in the forest where these lovely bugs guided them to some safe locations to sell. They now act as holy land and are considered safe places for druids. Now, these being such sacred, holy places, it'd be a real shame if some people started figuring out that if they follow the bug, they could end up in this holy area while not respecting any of the traditions of the druids, upsetting them greatly. So this upset Smort quite a bit, so he decided to recreate everyone's favorite moderately successful survival game, Grounded, and make giant bugs, this time equipped with a spike so that they could stab through the organs of whoever invaded, after sending a message to his followers, of course. So after a hot minute of surprise attacking these darn diddity defilers, he then made the smaller bugs hostile too, and now they screw over travelers who stray too close to the holy grounds. Most roads kind of curve around it to the best of their ability, but you might notice adventurers have a tendency to, stray into the wilderness a touch, and if only like a little bit of the road is covered, it might not be a big enough problem to be worth curving the road around. Okay, so now we have a situation in which they'll attack the players, but how would they avoid combat if they so happen to want to? Well, if they're a druid, nature cleric, follower of Smort, or otherwise capable of not being considered a pure enemy, they are allowed to leave a sacrifice for the bugs, which they will take and then leave the adventurers on their way. Now you're probably wondering why this makes a good random encounter to my brain. It's a resource problem, and that's what most of D&D is, at least the non-roleplay parts. Anytime you're doing an adventure, your goal is to keep your resources good enough to finish the adventure and leave with the loot. That is why, despite everyone ignoring it, in the DMG it says you're supposed to have 6 to 7 combat encounters a day. It's very much a matter of draining your resources as you go, which is why you need to be clever and quick about how to minimize your resource loss while destroying enemies. This makes sneaking and trickery often superior options to brute force. At least in theory, 5e dropped the ball on certain aspects. Stupid power creep. So, that's how the wilderness should be too. You need to be careful what resources you have, maintaining them, maintaining a speed, etc. It's part of the reason I'm rather fond of banning a good chunk of the later books where they start swapping everything that recharges off of a short rest to proficiency times whatever, and then running gritty realism resting. So now the entire distance between towns is your adventuring day. And that's where random encounters become at their peak, because now it's a matter of resource preservation. So then we look at my monsters, and here's what you see. Do I give it a sacrifice? Do I have a sacrifice? Do I wish to gamble on the random encounter? And if I give it a sacrifice and follow it, I can find the giant bug. And if we find it, can we beat the giant bug in a fight? Can we sneak around the giant bug and take the loot? Are we willing to gamble on that encounter right now? Do we want it on the map where the giant bug is? And on and on and on. I'd also imagine foreshadowing this is a good idea. Imagine a grizzled barkeeper going, "Hey, to the west, there's a giant bug creature. I would not go there unless you're a follower of Smort." And then you give them some of this information so they have a reference whenever they're making decisions concerning the giant glowing bugs. And if you thought that was entertaining, check out my episode where I make a demi-human race based on prairie dogs.